Understanding my community, Pleasant Valley Elementary Tigers. The information gathered was mostly from the small area in Wichita, Kansas. The information gathered was gathered within the school district boundaries specific to Pleasant Valley Elementary School. Because Wichita Public School District is so large, I felt it most beneficial to interview and gather information based on Pleasant Valley Elementary School's population. The customs and traditions. Most of the community is Hispanic. The remainder of the community is Asian, African American, white, and multiracial. Most of the people in the community were very shy and reserved and didn't want to answer any of the questions I had for them. I interviewed people that I had already made connections with throughout the course of working at Pleasant Valley Elementary. Most of the people that were home when I went to interview were women and children. Most of the men were working during the day, except for some elderly in one of the specific locations in the community. The children were not outside. Children were not playing with other children not living in the home. The majority of the families were living with many relatives. There was no social interaction with neighbors witnessed. Knowledge of the neighbors does exist. Their names and family status is evident. Taking the time to understand and use the data gathered about the community specific to my school area will help me to promote understanding and appreciate the cultural differences and similarities to help me be a better leader. Standard 4.1 and 4.2. The majority of the population were Catholic, believe in the rights of all citizens, and believe we need to increase support in health care. Many homes had no central air conditioning. Some had window units. Many had windows open with a fan. The homes are run down, falling apart in most areas, including the decks and porches, which I was unable to walk on some of them. The same with the apartments. Some of the homes were in a little bit better condition that were made of brick. This is where the majority of the elderly people live in the community. Little knowledge about the district policies exists, but some of the information about school dress code and attendance policies is evident. Knowledge of the curriculum used is there. However, most of the parents do not know how to help their students at home with much of the schoolwork, including reading to their students in English. Changes within the community have been dealt with positively throughout the community. The community once was primarily Caucasian, which is still the case. However, many Hispanics have moved into the area. Majority of the community members have adjusted to some changes that have occurred within the school. This includes getting a new principal this past school year. Taking the time to understand and use the data gathered about the community specific to my school area will help me to promote understanding and appreciate the cultural differences and similarities to help me be a better leader. Standard 4.1 and 4.2. The population characteristics within the community of Pleasant Valley Elementary. English-speaking families have 92% completed high school. Spanish-speaking families, 68% completed high school. Vietnamese-speaking families, 99% completed high school. The vitality of the community is high. Many parents are young parents, 35 years or younger. The data was gathered from 94% female population, 6% male population, because females were the ones that were home when I went to interview. Most of the men are employed in a technical field, construction field, or service field. Some women have technical jobs or support jobs. Communication channels within the community. 95% of the community uses the internet via computer, tablet, or smartphone. The radio stations varied, including 96.3 and 106.5, which is a Spanish channel. TV usage also varies. Cox Cable, Netflix, and Hulu. The Wichita newspaper is called the Wichita Eagle. Most people view this online. The foreign language impact in the community is that most of the Spanish-speaking families can have Spanish as the closed caption option for Cox Communication Cable. Cox, Netflix, and Hulu have some Spanish shows and movies. Most of the news is gathered via Facebook, Twitter, and on other news sites. Being able to communicate with the community and families will help me to build relationships with and continue to gain and support from them. Standard 4.3 and 4.4. Community members are separated in groups mostly based on race and ethnicity. There is a small section of the school boundary that has a predominantly white population. The rest of the area within this boundary is mostly Hispanic. Majority of the community does not have social interaction. At the school, the same is seen. Most of the time, the groups of the students are split amongst races. However, this is a stronger division in 5th grade based on gender. The larger community of Wichita has many different subgroups. This is evident when driving through the city. There are areas of town where the houses are poorly maintained, and there are areas in town where there are brand new houses that are well maintained. Some of the biggest community leaders in Wichita include the Koch brothers. They own and manage a large industrial franchise. Another large community leader for employment is Cornejo & Sons LLC. This is a large construction company, well known for the construction around Wichita. Both brothers of the Cornejo Company serve as leaders in the community. The policy curriculum textbooks are ordered and approved by the district leaders, including the superintendent and the Board of Education for our district. However, the district is very large. Therefore, many of the textbook adoptions have been through 2 to 3 years of pilot programs within the district before decisions are made. The city has many informal and formal groups specific to just the location around the school. There are these formal groups: Boys and Girls Club, Young Professionals of Wichita, YMCA, Breakthrough Club, which is a church vocational group for disabled individuals, the Lions Club, and a Rotary Club. Some of the informal clubs include soccer games that are held after school by some of the students, and also some reading clubs at our school during school hours. The school and community work together to make sure students are safe at school. We have a new way for visitors and families to enter the building and check in through the computers. The largest school problem and school district problem is state funding. Wichita Public School District is a very large district. Most of the students come from low-income families and homes. The more cuts that are made to the budgets given to Wichita Public School District, the more impact on student learning. The leadership specific to Pleasant Valley Elementary includes 2 specific parents, 2 people who have the most connection with other parents. They listen and respond about school-related matters and community matters, are both moms to students who attend our school. These particular moms have been invited to support PTO, and one of them is hired on as a school secretary. Now, the school principal is someone quite a few of the community members and families have started to listen to and follow. As I stated before, the school principal is new to the school this past year. More members attend school functions and support activities than in the past. The principal is starting to influence community resource leaders as well as parents and families. Utilizing these women in the community who are unofficial leaders of this smaller portion of the community will help me to build trust and relationships within the community and families as a whole. Standard 4.1 and 4.2. A little bit of information about our new principal. She's very supportive. She learns from the community by asking questions. She asks for support from large corporations and small business owners, including businesses owned by families in our community. She's friendly. She's goal-oriented, which is specific to Standard 1.2, collect and use data to identify goals, assess organizational effectiveness, and promote organizational learning. She's organized, honest, and welcoming to events and extra activities to involve the community and families. As of right now, looking at the unemployment rates for Wichita, Kansas, the unemployment rate is decreasing since 2010. Taking the time to understand and use the data gathered about the community specific to my school area will help me to promote understanding and appreciate the cultural differences and similarities to help me be a better leader. Standard 4.1 and 4.2. The economic conditions within our community. The state of Kansas' top livestock product is cattle and calves. The state of Kansas' top crop product is wheat. However, Wichita is a metropolitan city. Therefore, most of the people living there do not work in agriculture. The top commerce and industry is aviation. Wichita is the air capital of the world because of the mass production of aviation aircraft and products. Other significant industries in Wichita: healthcare, number 2 to aviation, Vulcan Chemicals, Cargill, Koch Industries, Via Christi Health Systems, and Chance Rides. The economic conditions for Wichita, Kansas is this graph here. The median house value is $80,000. This graph is for Pleasant Valley Elementary. As you can see, the Hispanic population is larger in this area than in the entire city of Wichita. The political structure in the city of Wichita. The Wichita Mayor is Carl Brewer. Wichita Public School Superintendent John Allison. 7 members of the Wichita School Board. In 2011, the federal government funded Wichita Public Schools with $17,840,893. More funding was from the state of Kansas. 60% of those expenditures were spent on instruction. Property tax will likely increase this year because block grant funding is not enough to support the schools. There was a grant for the school district in 2008 to improve buildings, including adding FEMA shelters to all the buildings with students. Wichita has many different ethnic, religion, and social and economic classes. Because of this, areas of the city are easily identifiable based on some of these classes. A variety of gangs are in the Wichita area. Cliques within the school exist primarily as students get older. Families and parents within the community of the school also form cliques. This is evident in the PTO meetings and additional activities held at the school. Discrimination within the school doesn't occur frequently. However, some of the parents would rather discuss matters with staff of their own ethnic background and someone who speaks the same first language. Extra sources of information can be found at the Wichita Public Schools District's main office. Questionnaires to pupils are administered 1 time per year to ask about perception data. Information for the city directory and for the city government officials can be found at the wichita.gov government department's website. Historical information can be found at uscitydirectories.com. The telephone book in the area is the Yellow Pages. The Census Bureau and Chamber of Commerce are extra sources of information as well. The minutes of school board meetings can be found at the district's website, and staff inventory can be located online for each specific school. Power structure within the community: Mayor Carl Brewer, Superintendent of Schools John Allison, Board of Education, community members, principals, and teachers. I made a connection with the hierarchy of power structures to one of the readings. The top bird is strong-willed and keeps the rest of the flock in order, breaking up fights and caring for the hens. I made this connection not necessarily that our highest hierarchical status is breaking up fights, but that they take a proactive approach. If a disagreement does exist, the top tier takes care of the largest scale issues. The multicultural issues for Pleasant Valley Elementary: as you can see, Pleasant Valley Elementary has a 71.9% Hispanic population. Different projects based on many different cultures happen in the school. We display different ethnic backgrounds and cultural art. Our menu is provided in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. Holidays and customs are experienced through learning. School dress code allows for students to wear appropriate clothing to school. Communicating, collaborating, and building and sustaining relationships require the leader to provide communication and put forth effort to have communication. Standard 4.3. The power structures, as mentioned before, also to include as a power structure is that our district works with champs from Randy Sprick for behavior management in the elementary schools. The idea is to be proactive with classroom management and not reactive. My school has a goal and implementation plan in place for school and community relations. My school works with the state closely on implementation plans for many different areas, including school and community relations. Public opinion polls are a good source to gather data about how schools are perceived, and opinion polls done for the state. Public opinion polls at my school are done 1 time per year. We have these available on the computer during parent-teacher conferences. The information is gathered about safety, policy, dress code, and an option to add comments. The data collected is reviewed by the principal, myself, and the remainder of the school leadership team. Measuring public opinion. Schools need to increase awareness of families and community members as to what is happening. This has made a connection with one of our readings. This is so that the information can be used to take actions necessary to bring about change. Another connection: understanding school and communities helps to increase a connection to teach and reinforce values. As stated in additional text, that community support is won not through public relation campaigns, but through active participation. Public opinion methods are through the census as well as online, and interviewing is a way to gather information that I used for a part of this presentation.